Welcome to our broadcast today.
This meeting is being recorded.
Woo! Okay.
All right, so we're now recorded. So welcome. My name is Bobby Umar, and this is the Powerful Partnerships broadcast with the amazing and lovely Carmelia Ray. Hey, hello. How are you?
Hi, hello. Glad to be here week after week.
Awesome. This is our third week now, and so what we're doing is we're basically doing a broadcast on LinkedIn Live, which is also multi-streaming to Facebook and Twitter, and at the same time, Carmelia started a Clubhouse room. So there's different ways to see us as we're doing this live stream. So if you are part of this conversation, you have seen this event, by all means, please say hello in the comments. Let us know what your questions are. The topic today is about how powerful partnerships use social media strategies for success, business, and growth. That's really what we're talking about today. So that's what we're here about. And I think we'll start by introduction. So Carmelia, please introduce yourself.
Yes, thanks everyone. I forget, this is a weekly show. Thank you to the people on Clubhouse as well. I actually have the pin linked for your profile so people can watch us live on Clubhouse as well as on LinkedIn. I am a relationship expert, celebrity matchmaker, TV host, media trainer, been in the dating and love space now for almost 30 years. And I've learned a lot about powerful partnerships, not just from my professional connections, but obviously as well, helping single professional entrepreneurs connect with their powerful partners so they can create, love, life, legacy, and all those great things. So I'm so happy to be here. And I'll bring friends up from the stage on Clubhouse as well, but this is really just an audio talk and live video on LinkedIn for those who want to join in. We do it every single week, Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, till about 3:30. And then we're going to head on over to Clubhouse to talk about it afterwards.
All right. And so we're actually going to be here for half an hour.
Oops.
We're going to move over to Clubhouse.
I lost your audio. There you are.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to move. We're here for 30 minutes to talk about this topic, and then we're going to move the conversation to Clubhouse, so you can join us there as well. So a little bit about myself. My name is Bobby Umar. I am a professional speaker by trade for the last 17 years, speaking about thought leadership, personal branding, authentic networking, and digital marketing across LinkedIn and Twitter. And during the pandemic, I've switched to doing more work in coaching and online programs. But at the end of the day, partnerships are a big part of what I do. I partner with fellow speakers to run events. I partner with people in Clubhouse and LinkedIn rooms and social audio rooms to deliver great content. I partner with people to create trainings around storytelling and LinkedIn and TEDx talks and all that kind of stuff. And for me, partnerships are a big part of what I do. I sometimes also would say that community is often a partnership. Like what I've done with Thought Leadership Brand Club is really a partnership with a community where we all work together and support each other. And so that to me has been a big part of the success that I've had. And so that's and the reason why I'm doing this weekly with Carmelia is because, again, she is a force to reckon with. She's amazing. Partner that I've learned to, we're friends. We live in downtown. We live in Toronto, both of us. So we've connected in person. I think she's a great, awesome, savvy personality. And I think that partnership with us also works. And we've been doing this weekly to tell you a bit about how partnerships work. And today we're going to focus more around social media strategies around that. So that's really what the topic is today. Otherwise, Carmelia, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about the topic today? Social media strategies for partnerships.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Whenever you're trying to approach somebody for a partnership, and in last week's discussion, we did talk about what are some of the questions that you would ask somebody before you partner. In the same breath, before you do a partnership, you should have a clear idea of what is the, result that you want from this partnership. Are you looking to create profit? Are you looking for brand awareness? Are you looking to put your product or service in front of a different audience? Because when it comes to partnership, each partner technically has, you have similar objectives, but you bring different things to the table for the most part. And so if I want to use social media as a partnership, I need to know exactly what my social media brings to the table for a potential partner. So with every social media platform, let's say that I wanted to do a partnership with someone on using my Instagram account. All social media platforms have professional insights. So one of the things that your partner may want to ask is, or that whoever you're collaborating with will say, what is your audience reach? Who is already consuming or watching or corresponding with your content? So if I have 28,000 Instagram followers, and I know, and I recently did this, 55% of my audience are women, and 55% of my female audience is between, say, 35 and 55. That is a statistic that I want to share with a potential partner who may be looking to get in front of my target audience, right? And so, Bobby, knowing that I'd like to maybe do a campaign for single entrepreneurial men, one of the people I'm going to be looking at, it would be a coach, a mentor, a brand that has more male eyeballs. And so what can I offer to that person using my social media platform? So I really think you need to hone in and be proficient and sort of an expert in whatever social media channel you're following. Like, Bobby, I'm here because you are the LinkedIn guy. Between our two networks, you have more followers on LinkedIn. You've been doing LinkedIn Lives more than I have. And so I'm leveraging my partnerships on Clubhouse right now, where I have a room open, and on Wisdom and on my other social media channels to drive my audience to this live right now. So that is why I partnered with you. Like, what? So that's one thing that I would think about in terms of social media partnerships. What about yourself?
Yeah, I agree with you. And, I'm doing a lot of work now talking about NFTs. And so in doing so, I'm partnering with some NFT collaborators. I launched my first ever NFT this past Saturday.
Congratulations!
Yeah. And I'm also partnering with other people. And when it comes to NFTs, the partnership was a big part of it was the strategy around, the social media. I mean, also because I've done a lot of influencer marketing too. So oftentimes I partner with companies and organizations. And so the question always comes is, as you said, who's your target audience? What's the demographic breakdown? Where are you getting the most, bang for your buck in terms of where you spend your time? And so, leveraging Twitter or leveraging Instagram or leveraging LinkedIn, that's something that comes to the forefront. So it's important to understand what those things are. One, of course, is the idea of complementary target audiences. So therefore, you can reach the same people with the platform. But the other one is also expanding and diversifying your audience to new people that might come up. Because, as I always say, every person's a bridge to someone or something else. And so if someone actually loves you and what you're doing, they may bring in someone else to join the conversation. Or, my audience is bridging me to you and then them to you as well. And then the other thing to look at too is, what are the assets, right? So what assets does that person have? So, Carmelia, one of the things that you're a very strong asset with Clubhouse. And I think that you're also doing stuff on Wisdom that I'm not doing. And so for me, getting to that audience, I think is really, really good to do. Whereas, for me, I have an asset on my assets are on Twitter and LinkedIn, where a lot of my strength is. I still do a lot of stuff with Clubhouse too, but I have a lot of strength there. So that's really why I think it's important to really do an assessment of kind of where you are, what are the strengths, who are the target audiences, and then where do we go from there. And again, if you're just listening to this is a live stream on Powerful Partnerships every week at 2 p.m. If you're listening to the conversation, we'd love for you to comment. Let us know where you're from. Where are you calling in from? Are you from North America, South America, Asia, Europe, Africa, Australia? Let us know. Otherwise, ask questions. I mean, Carmelia is an expert in many different areas, and I'm happy here to take questions. So put your questions in there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more as well when you're looking at brand partners, especially for people who are now going to be utilizing, say, influencer marketing. And, anytime you're working with a brand or an influencer, they are now a new outlet that you're plugging into, right? So going on the topic recently of me looking at, okay, what's my combined, Facebook and Instagram audience, right? When I take a look at my insights, I can have a reach between 25 to 30 million audience. And I just found that out, Bobby, in terms of like looking at those insights. The other thing is if you have a website and you have Google Analytics, or you need to know how many page views do you get in your podcast, how many downloads have you have, where are the people listening from? Are they from certain countries and certain ages and whatever demographical information you can gather for partner purposes is really important. The other thing is, what is your engagement rate? Number of followers doesn't mean anything if you're not familiar with how your audience is engaging with you. What is the engagement percentage? Is it above average? Is it below average? What should it be? So again, these are other things that you want to talk about. Another consideration is post frequency. How often are you going to be expecting this collaboration? Is this going to be weekly like we are choosing to do? Is it going to be monthly? I was just approached by a good friend of mine. She actually is the person who introduced me to Clubhouse, and it's Coach Cass. And she has an internal community of coaching, I guess her coaching students once a month. And she recently approached me and said, hey, Carm, could you please come in once a month, or do you have time to come in once a month to do a Q&A with my audience? And we talked about budget. We talked about frequency. We talked about budget. We talked about my deliverables. And so we worked that all out. Now, she approached me because she knew that I am an online dating coach and expert, and that I can speak to her target audience. And of course, for me, I want to figure out, like, what kind of content is she expecting from me? What's the dollar amount that I will be compensated for that, or how does it work out? And so these are the things that you want to talk about. So it's so important that you approach a partner. She approached me with specific deliverables, what she wanted, and she knew what I could deliver. So you want to make sure that you're approaching somebody where you know their core strength and what they can bring to the table. Final example, I was contacted by a CBC producer. He's a single guy. I'll make an announcement later on, but I was introduced to him because one other producer from CBC said, you should talk to Carmelia. She's like a dating expert. And he doesn't really have a lot of dating experience. So we're having a call tomorrow to see, can we do something together? Is it a good fit? Because I have to determine whether or not I can deliver what he's asking for. I'm not always the best matchmaker or the best match for someone. So it's okay to say no. You can be approached by a lot of people. And if I think it's too challenging, out of my scope, going to take up too much time, or the revenue fit isn't there, I'm okay to say no. So those are the things that I would be looking at when looking at a partnership.
Yeah, and I think that it's important to set the expectations in terms of what is the content strategy going to be between the partners. So even for us, like, we're still working out some of the little kinks with our live stream. So we have the live stream, and then we have the Clubhouse room, and then we have the LinkedIn event. And so we have to figure out, okay, we need to put the event on this day, and then we need to we were talking about this on a call just the other day. So the event we post on this day. We'll then invite attendees. We have the image. We share it on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and Clubhouse, whatever. And then we continue to build that up so we get to a day like today where everyone's here and we build it up. So one of the things that we're going to try to start doing now is, I want to be able to promote our next event in advance. Yes. So normally what I would do is, my plan is I'm going to post on Wednesday about our next week one. But after that, I'm actually going to post on Wednesday about what's happening on February 14th, which is Valentine's Day. So obviously we're going to talk about relationships, right, as the best partnership ever. And then on Sunday, I'm going to post about the following week, so that way, when we do the event on next week, we'll be able to share a link with you directly to look for the next event. So that's going to be kind of our rhythm and our groove. And now it's great because Carmelia has set up those expectations. Yeah.
And so Bobby, when it comes down to, hold on a second, we're talking about social media strategy. What do you think about people who are not, what's the best approach to someone who isn't really great in a certain social media platform, but they're trying to, leverage someone else's social media platform? How would you suggest to approach somebody there?
That's a great question. So a perfect example of this is the NFT collaboration I just did. So I launched an NFT in collaboration with a designer who has very, very little presence on Twitter, right? But he has the designer and he has the production capacity to put that stuff together. And that's stuff that I can't do as well. So, like you and I have very strong social media clout. And so that's great. We can certainly expand. But when the other person doesn't have very much clout at all, then of course there's greater value in you your ability as an influencer. So you bring more meat to the table from that standpoint, and that person's bring more meat in some other way. So what's happened is he helped with the design, he helped with the concept. I was heavily involved because I was going to be promoting it everywhere, and we assigned value to what each of us were doing, and in doing so, created that project. And now this new NFT came out, and basically it's his cause is stigmas around mental health, and so we created this whole backstory behind the NFT and the design of this person named Anjali the Courageous, and it's out there now. So in that particular case, yeah, he had very little following, but I was the one that was using the influence to put him out there. So I brought him to my tweet chats, I promoted him stuff, I let him share a story around why mental health is so important to him, and then I used my influence to tweet out there. And certainly the amount of work and the amount of traction we got has been phenomenal. So there's value I'm getting from that, and he's getting value in terms of selling this thing, and we're going to share the profit. So for me, there's something there. So if someone doesn't have that influence, they have other things too. There's things that other people have certain things. Another good example is when they're bringing people who are like at big companies, and they don't have a large network, but they have high level influence with and the influence to bring other people into play, and they maybe connect me to somebody else who could be a guest on my show. That also works really well too.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are, first of all, if you're watching and you have questions, we would love, the purpose of this as well is to be able to engage with our live audience. So if you do have questions around, partnerships and social media, please post that to us. And then when we announce our topic for next week, perhaps you can send us some questions in advance about the topics or questions that you want to have answered moving forward. So Bobby, wondering if you have had an opportunity to work in the influencer marketing space, and maybe what are some of the questions or considerations that you would think of before engaging with an influencer?
Well, I mean, I've done influencer marketing for brands like Ford, Canadian Tire, and a bunch of other companies, and they definitely want to know the demographics of your target audience, so make sure you keep track of the data of what they're doing. But for me, I mean, when I work with people and they want to promote stuff and they say they'll use their network, I mean, I look at like, how often are you going to do this? Are you going to send to your email list? Are you going to tweet about it several times, just once? I find that some people, they don't really understand that you need to like post stuff more than once. Like, you can't just say, okay, here's an event, because then no one's going to come. Statistically, they say that people need to see something 5 to 7 times in a row before they actually act on registering, subscribing, or moving forward. And so it's important for people to put that stuff out there. So I will tweet stuff multiple times. I will share it on my Instagram stories. I will make a post about it. I'll do whatever I can to get more people, more eyeballs on it, because that's what we want. So when I look for an influencer marketer for my stuff, right, have they demonstrated the ability to do this before? Or do they do just one-offs? Because we know that even in the speaking circuit, right? So when you put together a conference, you bring in speakers, and the objective is, everyone's going to help promote it, and some of them just don't. I used to run a conference called the DYP, the Discovery Personal Brand Conference, and I can tell you there's some people that would show up, and and we gave we gave the imagery, the links, and everything. We had this expectation. They fill out a document, say, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to promote 3 times. I'm going to send them my email list, whatever. And some of them do like nothing, right? And what does that mean for a partnership? Well, the partnership is basically you are screwing up the partnership, and trust me, you will not be asked again to speak at the conference. That happens a lot.
I don't. You should never let down your partner, or over promise, under deliver. It's always best to under deliver and over give, right? I think as well, if we're talking about partnerships through social media, use your social media, be present, be visible, don't hide. I think anybody who's looking to partner with me on any front has done so because they've looked at what I'm doing on social media. They look at the specific channel where they want me to help with. When I was approached by a brand to help with a clubhouse room, it's because I facilitated many conversations and I ran a lot of rooms. And I did so in a way that, caught the attention of the person who wanted to work with me. So if you are available, you've got to make sure that your call to actions, and when you're out there, you let people know what you're available for. I'm open to collaborations. I'm open to business discussions. I'm open to working with startups. And then again, what does your bio say on any of your platforms? What are you known for? And how obvious is what you're known for evident in the things that you're creating and that you're posting? Oftentimes, you'll look when there's a complete ambiguity, and I'm sure you know about this, Bobby, on Clubhouse. Sometimes you'll see an avatar and you'll see somebody in a room, but you go to their bio and either it's not there, you have no idea why this person's in the space, you have no idea what they've accomplished. So it's like your resume. You look at people on LinkedIn, you've got to be discoverable. So please, basic 101, have your media bio, your one sheeter, your one list, your whatever you've got going on. For people in media, it could be their electronic press kit, it could be their media page. On Clubhouse, it is your bio. On LinkedIn, it's your professional bio. And then underneath that, all your skill sets. I know Bobby's personal branding and he's communications and anything to do public speaking. So it's very clear what lanes Bobby is in. And I know now the best partnerships is where I can utilize his specific expertise.
And we have some really awesome people here in the audience here. So thanks to Greg and Tracy. Will says interesting, thanks. Deanna's here, so is Paul. And Paul has a question. Paul says, have you noticed any increase in creators becoming frustrated with the platforms? That's a great question. I would say that content creators in general, we love the platforms, but we're also so passionate and invest in the platforms that we are also its biggest critics. So absolutely, absolutely. So, LinkedIn and Twitter and Clubhouse are probably the three places where I spend the most time and energy. And I definitely have my issues like Clubhouse. Please, for the love of Pete, two things: get me emoticons because I think they're awesome. And number two, give me access to my club members, because there's no way for me to communicate to my club members. And I have 23,000 people there, and I have nothing. I can't say anything to them. I can't stand that. LinkedIn, when LinkedIn Stories launched, man, it was frustrating because people who use stories in general on LinkedIn, on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, go to LinkedIn Stories. They're the ones who are going to use it. Not people who never tried it. People who are users of stories will go to LinkedIn Stories, and because it was so poorly executed, they got frustrated. LinkedIn Audio just launched, and people who've done Twitter Spaces and Clubhouse like I have, we're frustrated, but it's just starting out. It's in beta, so we get it. So it's important for LinkedIn to add new stuff quickly and right away, so they address like some of the biggest needs right now is give us more than one host, give us replays, make these things more discoverable. They already add the discoverability piece on LinkedIn, which is great. But so I think we do get frustrated, but ultimately, look, people are tuning into you. This is also a partnership with a platform to get your brand out there, to get your message out there. And when you're partnering with people, you definitely encourage them to be better partners by suggesting improvements, right? But at the same time, you leverage a partnership for what it has currently. So I'm leveraging Clubhouse and LinkedIn live stream and all the things I can, the best I can, to make that partnership work for building my brand and serving my clients. So that's my take on that. What do you think, Carmelia?
I mean, ditto on everything you just shared. And I'm seeing the LinkedIn thread as well. Thanks, Deanna. We've got some active participants there, which is amazing. Using your platform, getting social. Again, I'm going to repeat the visibility piece. Having a strong presence on your the social media channel that you're using. The frustration. Okay, let's go back to your frustrations. I think when we see changes in, for example, on Clubhouse, there's different frustrations for different people. I think the audience numbers and count, sometimes people feel like sometimes those rooms are getting smaller. I think with Clubhouse, there's pros and cons to having people being able to open their own rooms, right? That means anybody has a voice, which is appealing. And at the same time, it's difficult to know whose voice really should you be listening to, right? And that's why if you have a room and the power to curate conversation, it's important that you put in your bio who you are and what your accolades are, right? And then attaching all of your other social media platforms that can be attached. So for example, if you're on Clubhouse, people will attach their Twitter and their Instagram. So Bobby, if I go to your Twitter and I see, oh, this guy has 500,000 followers on Twitter, he's a big deal in that space. If you didn't connect your Twitter as an example, and again, this is basic 101, it's like a dating site. We didn't talk about dating on the personal sides and partnerships in this entire segment. So here's my relatedness. If you're on an online dating app and there's no bio and there's one photo, you're not going to be compelled to learn more. You're going to swipe left because that person hasn't given you anything to work with, right? You definitely want to give your listener, your audience, your potential collaborator or brands a reason to engage with you. The frustrating part for content creators is we're all figuring out the algorithm. How does something go viral? How, like, what are the things that people want to consume or hear? Is it short form video? Is it long form video? So sometimes there are a lot of these changes that happen on apps. You're getting used to one thing and then they implement a change, right, and you kind of have, oh man, I was just getting used to this way of doing things, and now they changed it all over again. So when apps are constantly making these kinds of changes and you're just getting used to stuff, that could also be a little bit frustrating. And then finally, it's the speed of implementation in which you make a suggestion or recommendation. Sometimes we want things to happen right now. And so it's kind of frustrating when, you know, or your suggestion is being made and you think it's simple, but it doesn't happen as fast enough. I think those are some of the basic frustrations.
That's awesome. And I want to share something that Deanna wrote. My thought as a creator is the algorithm is out of my control. So the frustration is pointless.
Correct.
You have to understand it now and work with it. It's not about reaching tens of thousands of people with each post because you never know who's watching. Never underestimate the power you have. You don't know who's watching. Sometimes you'll do a post and it'll turn into like just something amazing. Someone reached out to you and like, wow, that story really resonated with me. And next thing, like I did a post last week on my 20-year anniversary with my wife, and I talked about all the speaking of partnerships, and I talked about actually the struggles we had from health and money and kids and different things that we were challenged with over the years. And that post has gone viral. It's got like 30,000 views now because I think people realize that it's okay to talk about the tough times too. Because 20 years, we got to where we are now. We're in a good place, but it wasn't all roses. Like it took a while to get to where we are. So I think that's really important. I want to add one more piece about social media strategies for partnerships. Okay. It's really important. It's important to create something that's consistent, right? So you and I are doing this weekly thing, and so I think having consistency, it takes time. It builds over a while. So we're still working on our flow and our rhythm, right? And I might join you for a wisdom thing at some point, and having the clubhouse thing. And so I think we're getting the flow. We're building this up, and so we're learning as we go. But I think that as long as you're consistent and you show up, eventually people start to notice. It starts to build up. I mean, that's exactly how I build my Twitter following. It's how I build my clubhouse following. It's how I built everything that I've done. Consistency, on brand, passion, enthusiasm, responsiveness. All those things go a long way to building strong partnerships. But I think that if you want to build a social media strategy with a partnership, make sure you're consistent and keep going and keep working at it.
Yes. And final note as before we wrap, and then you can announce our next week talk. It's the Super Bowl of relationships. Valentine's Day is next week. I will say this: when you choose your partners, make sure that you are maintaining, just share wherever you can. Even though I might not be able to go into Bobby's Twitter room, or I might not be able to attend one of Bobby's other conversations, I do my best to leverage my support, make comments, also share, the things that he's up to. And he does the same for me, because, don't overextend yourself. You certainly, I think with your partners, you want to engage with them as much as possible, because the relationship does not just end here when we finish this call. We're going to go on to Clubhouse, of course. It's like, all right, see you next week, same time. No, we're working on things in the background. We're looking for wins. We're also super transparent about what's not going to work or what's not working. And I think it's important that you choose a partner that you can go the ebbs and flows with. And as Bobby said, can commit to that consistency and shares that long-term vision with you down the road. And so your social media and who you choose to partner with, that is something that you should be thinking about also, is making sure your brands are aligned.
Absolutely. And absolutely. And again, the way we're doing this is we're doing half an hour here on LinkedIn Live, as well as Twitter Live and Facebook Live, but mostly LinkedIn Live stream. We'll take your questions, and then we're going to move the conversation to Clubhouse. So we're going to put the link in the chat.
I did already. I did it.
Oh, you did it. Oh, okay, great, even better.
Because I'll send it to you.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, because we want people to join us in the Clubhouse room afterwards for another audio conversation, and we want to hear your thoughts on stuff we talked about today. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the Powerful Partnerships broadcast on the post. And now
next week.
Oh, sorry. I forgot about that. So yes. So next week. Well, okay, fine. Yeah, because so next week is
Why
Valentine's.
Love Matters. Why Love Matters.
Why Love Matters. So we're gonna talk. Next week is Valentine's Day. So I was like, we have to talk about love. And I know, and love is one of the best partnerships ever. But whether it's partnerships where executives and professionals are getting together and finding love in their partnerships. But at the same time, even with partnerships, is there love in what's going on? Because if there isn't, maybe you want to dissolve that partnership. Do you love going to work every day? Do you love doing the partnership? I got a lot of love for Carmelia. She is amazing. She's a big heart. And so that's great. So we're going to talk about why love matters. It's going to be a focus on relationships, though. So we're going to focus on relationships between execs, professionals, entrepreneurs. What are you doing to find love? How are you sustaining it? I just had my 20th anniversary, so I'm going to share my insights and my thoughts. So I think I can't wait for the topic.
That being said, depending on whether we can coordinate, I might, and I'll just throw this at you, Bobby, if it's not too difficult to coordinate, maybe I'll bring on a single entrepreneur, male and female, and we could talk to them about why love matters, and maybe we can find a match for these entrepreneurs. We'll see.
There you go. I love that idea.
All kinds of things. So
I love that. That's a great idea. Bring those people. All right, guys. So we'll see you later. Click the Clubhouse link. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you every week, Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern. All right. Take care.
See ya.
So long.
We'll be back.